Cool. So let's kick it off. Welcome to Lunchtime Marketing. My name is Kevin Britz, and my business is Business by Design, where we help people advance their personal peak performance. And today's Lunchtime Marketing, we've got the absolute wonderful and expert marketer and PR person with us. Björn, how you doing?
Hello, everyone. Great to have you. Grab something to drink. I always get something with my name in it, so I remember it's mine. My name is Björn from TNC Marketing and PR, and I'm a conversation starter. And today we are so excited. We've got an amazing guest all the way from the Tshwane region. The first time I said that I had to write it out phonetically, and then I asked a friend, how do I say this? I was like, this is not an English name. So yes, Kevin, tell us more about our host today, and our guest at least.
Yeah, so today, all about everything. Every time we get together on a Thursday, we want to be able to add value. You know, the aim is to be able to add value to whoever's watching. And one of the questions that is raised this month is a lot about networking and how we do it more effectively. And today we have a wonderful expert who's going to share something called the 24/7/30. Which I have no idea what that means. And it's literally, what does that mean in the networking world? Please welcome Karin Metz. Hey, Karin, how are you doing?
Jose, hi guys, going great, yeah? And I really want to congratulate each one of you who persisted on getting online, because it's a serious channels all over the show today. But then that ties in for me with being an entrepreneur. You've got to be able to think on your feet, because stuff happens and it's usually not the way you planned. And you've got to just make other plans, do what you need to do. And like Björn said, the show must go on. So yes, looking forward to sharing with you.
Fantastic.
And don't you want to give us sort of a connection to, an insights, what Karin's going to be chatting to us about, and this sort of intro, because I have no idea what this means.
Fantastic. So this month, for all our people that are viewing and all those that view, I was just sharing with the team earlier, the show we did last week with Mbali from Facebook just had over 900 views within a week. So I'm looking forward to see, as time goes on, how many much more people actually start viewing this, which is incredible. And the theme this month is all about networking online. And, you know, now more than ever, to coin a BNI phrase, and Karin would know this phrase, we need to network. And Karin is really going to be telling us about that right now. So Karin, tell us a little bit more, give us the viewers a bit of a background who you are, and then Kevin will get straight into asking some awesome questions we're excited to hear about.
Good stuff. Yeah, I actually started out with a passion for networking, started my own business when I was in high school already. And never realized.
Like 5 years ago, 6 years ago.
Yeah, no, about 7, Björn, about 7.
7.
So yeah, and if I look back over the years, the common theme with all of them were connecting. So I was introduced to BNI when I was a member out in the Lowveld, and I immediately just got excited about the whole thing, because now there's a structured, official way on connecting and introducing people to people and networking and the whole thing. So that's basically where my official walk with BNI started. But the passion for connecting people with like-minded people has always been there. And what I like about what I'm currently doing is, I always said to myself that you've got to find out what you're good at. Okay, what do you love doing? And then find a business that you can connect those with. Because then you'll never work another day in your life. Because then you get excited every time you work. Because there's so many people that's stuck in a job that they hate. And they're literally just there for a paycheck. And in that case, the paycheck very quickly fades and loses its importance in the whole thing. But if you've got a passion for what you're doing, it overrides the fact that you don't necessarily have the money to back it up with. But yeah, I've been running the BNI Tshwane region now for about 12 years, right? Helping a lot of BNI and non-BNI members on growing their businesses through quality word of mouth and really how to network effectively.
Awesome. Thanks, Karin.
I want to kick off with the first question I have is what does the 24/7/30 mean? Is there a specific meaning behind that? Yeah. And also off that, considering COVID and considering where we are, and especially with lockdown and uh, and the power the power outages. Is it still possible for us to be able to network and you know, is that sort of like a tactical way of connecting with people?
Yeah, Kevin, I would say the whole lockdown crazy new world just emphasized it more for me that you have to network. You don't have a choice, because the worse the economy gets, the less money we've got available to spend on all these fancy advertising things. And the more critical it gets that you've got a support group of other business owners who actually believe in you, they like your product, and they're willing to share your story. Because that's how business carries on. And that's why we can make a very strong statement that we don't participate in a recession. And I want to take it further and say we don't participate in lockdown. Okay, because your whole networking thing is now even more critical. Yes, the way we do it has changed. We don't have the warm fuzzies and the huggies and all the nice stuff with that. But Zoom's working, guys. Zoom's working. So we've got to run with it and get your network established.
So one of the questions is, I hate Zoom. Can I still grow my network?
Kevin, I'm there not going to really flatter egos or anything. I'm going to say, tough. Play the cards you were dealt with. Yes. It's really a case of we don't have the luxury at this stage to say, I don't like Zoom. I don't want to do online. That's what the world has come to.
Yeah. So
the business owner who's going to stay under the rock and say, I wait till we can do in person again, it's really their choice. But I'm afraid that person will not have a business after lockdown. So I would say rather embrace the whole Zoom. If you don't like Zoom, take GoToMeetings, go Skype, do whatever you need to do, go WhatsApp for all I care. But you've got to embrace the whole online platform, because that's the way the cards are dealt at this stage.
Karin, I love the fact that you use the word tough, you know, so what? You know, I think we've also long gone past the fact that people need to skirt around the obvious. And I think, you know, part of what we, you know, as people in South Africa, part of business owners, part of how we show up in the world, we really need to start embracing the tough times and kind of going, okay, well, how am I responding? And how do I respond effectively to this, whether you like Zoom or not? You know, I completely agree. And you know, we on one of our coaching or marketing sessions we've had, chatting about when we go, you know, coaching online or when you do a webinar, my sentiments are exactly the same. So tough, you know, prepare yourself, make sure that it's credible. And do the research, do the work, and make sure that, you know, what you're putting out there is making a difference and landing with people, because that's what, you know, pushes your brand quite specifically more forward than the next guys. So, you know, so why is VCP? And please explain to us what VCP is important, even more during lockdown, because I think that's really important.
Yeah, that is something a lot of people who go into networking miss. They've got this whole idea that if I stuck a business card in your hand after just meeting you at an event or somewhere at a networking or even at a funeral for that matter, that I can immediately go over and try and sell to you. Now, I still need to find the person who likes to be sold to. We all like to buy, but we don't want to be sold to. So, and that's where people miss this whole thing. There's a process that you've got to be visible out there. You've got to be on calls like this. You've got to be on social media, have your web site, do your Zoom calls, interact with your clients and your suppliers. Okay, that's visibility, all right? Even have branding on your car or whatever. But your challenge is if you don't take that to the next level of credibility. And credibility really means where people get to know you, get to trust you, and really get to believe that what you're saying in all your fancy social media or advertising stuff, that you're actually going to deliver that. And only once that relationship is established can that transaction put it into profitability. And often people try to skip and they want to go from visibility to profitability immediately. And that leads to a lot of disconnect and disappointment. But the secret with networking is to follow the process. You've got to put the seeds in the ground, water it, nurture it, care about the relationship, because at the end, it will give you a harvest that will continue bringing income in, instead of side sorting the circuit there.
So Björn, I just want to, it's the theme that, that keeps coming up for us is the visibility, the credibility, the profitability. It's exactly, the advice that you've been giving us as well.
Björn, you're trying to say something? No?
Sorry,
Björn is frozen?
I've got delayed reactions, so it's all good. Am I frozen? I'm here. Can you hear me?
We can't see you, but you can hear you.
Challenges of technology. Sorry guys, I'm operating off my little dongle, so apologies. Karin, I want to just ask you, yes, kids, can you hear me? Are we good?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Cool. I just want to ask a question regarding the VCP process. When you spoke about building that credibility, how long does it take to build that credibility? What kind of time frame are we looking at realistically?
Björn, it's difficult to put a specific time frame on it because it depends on the initial contact, the relationship. Because if I was referred to somebody through you, for example, let's say you introduced me to Kevin, you've already edified me to Kevin.
Yeah.
So it's going to be a much quicker process for me to build a relationship with Kevin based on what you said about me. But if I approach somebody total cold, they don't know me from a bar of soap, there's going to be a lot more involved there. And that's where I always use what I call the gains profile. Just a quick acronym on how to get talking with a new person. Because every time you meet somebody new, your goal should be to see how quickly you can find some common ground between the two of you. Because the second you can find something you've got in common, that immediately opens up a stronger relationship because, you're just like me. We're not strangers anymore, okay? And what the gains really just stand for is we start talking about goals, okay? Whatever goals you've got, personal or business. We talk about accomplishments. I don't know, maybe you've done the August, right? We talk about interest. Maybe you're into making your own wine and not pineapple beer at this stage, but proper, genuine harvesting your own grapes and making your own wine, right? We're talking about networks, and networks can be anything as basics as playing sport. If you're playing any sport, squash or something, there's a network involved there. If you've got kids in school, there's a teacher's network, okay? And then the last one is skills. What's one of your skills that you're really proud of? Okay. Björn, with you, I'm not really sure whether it's a skill or just a gift, but your whole thing about social marketing and talking. So the idea is to approach those 5 things and see where you can get the other person to actually get excited about one of them. Because that's when they come alive. And that's when people start saying, yes, you're really interested in me. Maybe we don't have to be strangers anymore. And that's where you then start building the relationship.
So I just want to ask, can you I think Björn's having some serious connectivity issues, so we'll just carry on. I'm sure he'll connect with us. Can you just re-emphasize what GAIN stands for? So it's goals, accomplishments.
Goals, accomplishments, interest, networks, and skills.
Networks and skills. And I think, Karin, I think that's such a wonderful, valuable point to have when starting a conversation, because from experience and from what I've heard people say is so many people really don't know how to connect with people or start a conversation. Björn's back. Thank you, Björn. So I love the fact that that's a beautiful startup conversation. I do see that we have an actual comment on Facebook Live as well, which we'll get to at the end. But also one of the questions is the best way to follow up with the meetings after meeting somebody new. What is the best way to do that?
Okay. There I'm coming back to my 24/7 that you asked about earlier on. Right. And all that stands for, there's also a process. You cannot meet somebody and then think overnight we can quickly connect, send my newsletter, and then now we're friends and we've got to start doing business. The process is really, as soon as you get introduced to somebody, take the business card, take their contact details, all right? And then within 24 hours of meeting them, you either send them a WhatsApp or an SMS or an email, but just a very, very neutral, hi Kevin, it was great meeting you today. Yeah, I really enjoy the show that you guys are doing. That's it. There's nothing about me or can I send you my newsletter or nothing. It's really just acknowledging the fact that we met, and I try and mention something in that conversation that you said to really show that I listened to what you said, all right? And then within 7 days, I go and do a social media a stalk on you, where I go and see, are you on LinkedIn, Facebook, where are you and what are you posting? So I go and like your stuff on Facebook or social media, and I start really reading what you're posting and really getting a feel of who Kevin is. But nowhere I'm going to say, okay, cool, dude, I've connected with you on Facebook. Now you've got to connect with me. Okay, nothing about me, absolutely nothing about me. Yeah. And then, so I'm starting to follow. I'm trying to see what are you posting, what are you talking about, what are your interests? And then the 30 comes in that in 30 days, I'm going to pick up the phone and say, Kevin, I've been following you on LinkedIn and I really like that article that you wrote. I really would like us to meet for a Zoom coffee and ask you some questions and stuff about that. What would work for you next week, Monday or Tuesday? Okay?
And that's after 7 days, or is
that's
that
30.
Correct?
That's 30.
Oh, that's 30 days. Okay.
30 days. Because remember, it depends also on how active the person is on social media. Yeah. If you're going to follow me on social media, you're probably going to need 60 days to find something that I'm written on. But if you're following Björn, you can probably condense that a little bit. But you just want to get an overall feel on what's this guy posting on social media, so that you can get more insight in him as a person, but also in his business. And then you sit down and you start asking questions and tell me more about you. Tell me more about your business. What did you mean by that comment? Okay. Now you can also bring in the gains. Okay. Because it could be that initially you didn't get much into gains. So bring gains back in and see how you can direct that conversation to start building a foundation. Now, I promise you, if you start interacting with that person and it's all from, tell me about you, definitely somewhere along the line, that person is going to return and say, Karin, tell me about yourself. Okay. But I'm not offering. And then I actually want to take it further, that after you've done your 24/7/30, you're now going to stand back and say, okay, this is somebody that I really want to pull into my network. I can see us having common ground. So I want to pursue this as a long-term relationship. And that person, I will then put in a 30/30/30 schedule. We just once a month, I'll connect. And it's not to say it's got to be a Zoom. I know a little bit about him from Gains. So I will keep my ears open. So if I see in the Reader's Digest an article about optometry, I'll take a screenshot of that and I'll send it to that person I've just connected who's an optometrist. And just say, I saw this, it was quite cool in the Reader's Digest and I thought of you. Just send it and leave it. So that could be your connection point every 30 days. Just to say, hey, you're still there, how's it going? Okay. And that's building the relationship. And I promise you, somewhere along the line, you're going to bring the conversation to, how can I help you? And however small that person says, see if you can help him. Because I always try and educate my clients, my suppliers, family and friends, that doesn't matter what they need, please phone me. Okay? Because then I make sure that I'm on that person's speed dial. Okay? They think of me first. And when they're going to look for business, they're also going to think of me. So I got the weirdest phone calls where people will ask me, Karin, what's showing at the barnyard? And I'm as in, seriously? Okay. But then I don't say that. I take the time and the effort. I go and look what's showing at barnyards, and I'll come back and say, this is at the barnyard, but do you know this is showing at the Blauhund at the moment? And yes, I've seen that show. I really recommend this. So you really try and be helpful outside of business, because then that person will remember you when they need business and when they meet people who might need what you're looking for. Okay, so don't rush into trying to sell something. Networking is not selling. It's farming, it's not hunting.
So is it fair to say that I'm going to, it's fine for me to send you a WhatsApp straight after this in the next 24 hours?
Absolutely, absolutely, yeah.
Hey, Karin, thanks for the chat.
Yeah, just a quick one. And remember, you also need to read the person you're talking to, because it's no use if you, for example, somebody who communicates on Facebook Messenger, but the person you're connecting to is not a Facebook person, because you're going to be offended because they don't react to your messages. In the meantime, they're offended because you don't connect with them. So you need to find out in the conversation, what is that person's preferred method of communication? And then you adjust your style to suit their style. Tony Robbins says that adjust your presentation to the prospect's language. Don't force your style onto your prospect.
It's so true. I mean, you know, from doing what I do as well, I've done so much training within South Africa, and specifically around call centers and around how to use language more specifically, and to pay attention to how you speak, what you say, and you know how you're engaging with people. But so one of the questions that we have listed here is, how does guys and girls network differently? So I'm glad that you're mentioning this, because I think it may come up differently, and people probably experience the networking sort of arena from a guy's perspective. It may be very different to how girls are experiencing it. So give us some insight from that, because I think you've made some points here that I think are really interesting and to touch on, and please share that with us.
Right. I must actually show the book that I said to Björn, I'll give away for our audience today. And we're going to do it at the end by asking a question. So you guys need to listen very carefully. But this comes very close for me to that, what's that guys who wrote the book, the Mars and Venus books? Men are from Mars and women are from Venus. Very similar to that, okay? I think we need to face facts that we are from different planets. There's no argue about that. We've got a whole lot in common. We've got business in common, but just how we approach things differs. And it's important that we know the difference, all right? If you, for example, look at a guy, okay, when they do business, they will sit today and you will say, I need X. And they will sit and say, I know one of the dudes that I went to pre-primary school with has gone into business with that thing. Let me quickly phone him. And they'll pick up the phone and say, hey, dude, Karin needs this. Can you give it? And a woman will sit there and say, you cannot do that. When last did you speak to this guy? And you say to him, probably in primary school last. And you say, but haven't you contacted him before then, since then? And he said, no. Women cannot do that. We first need to phone the person. How's it going? Are you married? Do you have kiddies? How's your business? We first need to invest some emotional capital into that relationship before we will ask a favor.
Yeah.
And that's difficult with networking, because if I can give a tip for guys, when you network with a girl, slow down, okay? Slow down and build the relationship first. Don't go for the kill, okay? And I'm not playing on words here, guys. We're talking relationship out of the picture. We're talking business here. So slow down, build the relationship with a lady first before you start asking for favors in business, okay? And asking her to connect you with people and stuff like that. Now, on the girl side again, when we ask for help, we elaborate and we embroider. So by the time we get to the asking side, that guy has fallen asleep. So what I would say to the girls is, keep it short, be very clear on what you need help with, and put it out there. You don't have to sweet talk this guy for 3 weeks before you can ask him a favor. He will not be offended. That's how guys operate, right? Then the other thing is, and this is for the guys, and I really don't want to make this a sexist thing, but please don't assume that women network to meet guys. We network because we want the same thing as you guys, and that's business. Okay, so we're going to a networking platform because we want to grow our businesses. So please don't assume that we don't take our businesses seriously. We do, right? We might not do it as aggressively as some guys do, but we take our business seriously as well. Yeah, and then with, again, from the women's side, when we talk to guys, girls, you need to get more, can I say, factual and share about your accomplishments. Because remember, guys are forever bragging about what they're doing against each other. So if you come in and you're all quiet and weak is the wrong word, but you've got to come in and say, I've done X, Y, Z. I've helped 4,000 business owners during the last 3 years. Okay, last year we did over 65 million rand between the group of about 300 business owners. Okay, that will make the guys sit up. So women, don't be shy to share on your accomplishments. The guys need to hear that. Okay. And then the other thing with guys, please filter what you're saying. Please just edit what you're going to say and filter out the inappropriate things. Those subtle little sexist jokes and comments and stuff does not belong in a business platform. I'm not saying we can't have humor, but leave out the inappropriate stuff. And then on the ladies' side, don't tolerate inappropriate stuff. If somebody says something inappropriately in a networking platform, address it immediately. Don't accept it. You can address it in a nice, soft, firm way without starting a fight or something. But you've got to address it immediately. Otherwise, you create a perception that you're okay with it, which you're not, right? And then ladies, you need to dress professionally. Dress as if you mean business. Don't dress as if you're looking for a date. Okay? And there's a thin line there as well. So yeah, I really recommend the guys getting into this book. There's a whole lot of things. They did a study with over 12,000 men and women separately to try and figure out what the differences are. And they actually discovered there's more stuff in common than there is really that's different between the two sexes. But it's important just to know the subtle things. Otherwise, the ladies are going to get frustrated. The guys are going to get frustrated, and we're not going to build that relationship because we're focusing on the wrong things.
Fantastic. Björn, are you back with us?
I'm back. Yes. And to do a little bit of reinventing, I am currently in a part of my house that I never thought I'd be recording in. So fantastic. Karin, I just reinvented on the fly. Karin, I love that information, and I've been able to pick up quite a bit. And obviously, I'm going to rewatch all of this because there's a bit of chunk that I just lost signal, etc., etc., etc. But Karin, one thing that I want to ask is, can you just tell us about some event stuff that are coming up? Is the events that, because it's all great that we have we're learning information, but I always say, if you don't apply the knowledge, it was just information that you heard. And it doesn't become knowledge that you can internalize. Do you have any events coming up that, obviously we'll put out the information later as well, but just for the viewers that are watching now and those who are going to be rewatching, that they can potentially engage with, that would be really awesome if you could share with us.
Yeah, for me, it's just a case of, I don't want to punt BNI at all, but BNI is just for me such a practical way where you can actually practice your networking skills in a safe environment, in a regular environment. So those of you who don't know about BNI, just go to bni.co.za and find what we call a chapter. You can also WhatsApp me and I can direct you to a chapter, but go into a chapter meeting and just see what we do. Because the whole focus of a BNI meeting is to teach our business owners how to network. What skills do you need, and give you a platform where you can actually use the skills. Because like Björn said, if you're not going to use the skills, it's not going to mean anything. So with your weekly meetings and stuff, you get enough opportunity to practice those skills that when you are stuck in an elevator with somebody and they ask you, what do you do? What do you answer? Instead of then trying to give a 3-hour explanation with full of jargon and stuff here. We teach you how to do it. So one of the events, and it's actually today happening, that I really want to invite everybody to, is what we call the BNI World Tour, where Dr. Ivan Meisner, who started BNI years ago, is literally going around 70 countries over 3 days. Today is the last day at our South African slot. But tie in, it's between 2 o'clock and 2:30. And Meisner is going to share about your whole vision on a personal and a business level, and also where BNI is going to. And just maybe, I'm not saying you need to get involved with BNI, not at all. I'm the first person to say BNI is not for everybody. But you might just hear a little nugget that might open up something for you. So that's really an event, Björn, that I want to invite everybody to between 2 and 2:30 today, bniworldtour.com. Free registration, wonderful there. It's on the chat group there. Click register, guys, go in, and then we'll see you that side. And then apart from that, Björn, I often speak to groups. I love hosting workshops and stuff. And tying in with what I said, that not everybody wants to go to a BNI meeting every week. Okay, right. There is a group that doesn't want to do that. So I then go in and present workshops and stuff where I teach those staff members and business owners how to grow their networks effectively. Wow. Okay, and that then ties very nicely. At some stage, some of them will say, but I do want to come to a BNI, or the other way around. It really doesn't matter. For me, my heart is networking and getting people to connect. And I say there's various ways and platforms and networking groups that they can tie into.
Brilliant. Thank you, Karin. That's really, really awesome. Sure. I don't know.
Fantastic. We do have a little bit of time. We do have a comment on Facebook that someone's just asking, how does visibility and credibility start on a new brand or a new company? And how do you need funds, or can you start a business without capital? So I know that's quite off the topic, but from a visibility and credibility perspective, what would you say to that, Karin?
Sure. I'll dig into my network. I'll definitely dig into my network. Who do I know? Really be very specific on who I need to be connected to. Okay. Because if I know who I do need to be connected to, I can talk to a guy like Björn who can help me set up my social media and stuff in the right way, that I can get to speak to the right people to help me to get the stuff going. Because of my experience with networking, I don't think I ever will try and do something new without using my network. It just doesn't make sense for me. There's just, if you spend time with a network, and if you're new in business, you already know people. Okay, I don't mean you need to have this solid 20-year network going. You know people. You've got people that you've got good relationships with. So sit down with them, share ideas, say, what do you think of this? What do you think I should do there? And you'll probably find that most business owners, they were in your shoes when they started their businesses. So they're more open. They really, how can I help you? And it's a case of listening, not just having your ideas storm out into the world with that, but get a council of many around you that you can share your ideas with and share in their wisdom and learn from their mistakes and not try and make all the mistakes yourself.
Yeah, I want to add to what you're saying, Karin. One of my fellow coaches also speaks about fail fast and fail forward. And the quicker I get my brain on board with, if I am an entrepreneur starting a new business or adding to my business, I should have 100 appointments scheduled like this, half-an-hour sessions with people, talking about how to do it, what to do, what's the next, how can I do it, where can I get money, who can I connect with. I think that's, and Ben, I think, again, coming back to the theme of marketing, it really is about who you know and how much you actually connect with people, and how connecting with people drives your business.
100%. And that's exactly what I was going to comment on. I was going to say, Karin, what I'm hearing from what you just shared that you are talking about just not surface relationships, but getting into the depth, and that obviously takes time. But I'd also want to say, just from being involved in marketing and networking and PR, one of the things that I always say to people is, be careful when you start any business, especially for the person who asked the live question, be careful not to be selling to your family and friends, but rather be showing them what you do and asking them who they can introduce you to. Because that's not going to make them that at a bride feel like, oh no, here comes the person they're going to ask him for business, versus they rather leverage. Would I be correct if I made that comment, Karin?
Absolutely, absolutely. And that comes back to what I said earlier with visibility, credibility, profitability. So often our poor family are the guys that we jump on and they've got to buy everything we're selling. And I say, turn that around and educate your family on who would be an ideal client to you, okay? And test that. I want to challenge every one of you on the show. Go tonight and ask your brother, your mother, your father, your wife, your husband. Ask them, what do you do and who is an ideal client for you? I promise you, you're going to be very surprised, okay? Because they have no clue on what you actually do. All they know, when you walk into the room, they've got to hide because you're going to try and sell them something. And that's not what you want. Yeah.
It's funny. I completely avoid it as a strategy to even ask my family, because I also find that family tends to, because you've grown up with them, they tend to have a skewed version of you and what you do professionally. So my family's probably going to watch this on on live Facebook. Sorry, guys. But essentially, I avoid it because I know it's not something that's always the best kind of connection to make. But I agree, Karin. It's ask your family, and you will definitely get the feedback to kind of go, okay, you really don't know anything about me or anything I do. So it's a good reference to have. So, guys, I know that we're giving away this book's called Business, Networking, and Sex. So Karin's holding it in her hand. So, Karin,
what
please,
did you think?
Tell us more about business, networking, and sex. Because I'm like, the moment I see sex in something, I'm going, excuse me?
Excuse me? Okay. The whole thing is, it's not about what you think. Everything today has been so sexualized that people jump to conclusions. And what we're saying here, men and women are more similar in business than what we really think. Okay. So it's just a case of saying stuff differently so that the other sex can actually understand it. But take the popular media sex out of business, out of networking, because then you're going to have solid relationships. The second that you try bring the sex part into networking, that's when stuff go wrong. Okay, that's what you don't want to do, and that's what this whole thing is: understanding how the two sexes think and have an appreciation for the way they think, and see what common ground we can find so that we can build sustainable long-term relationships. And Taryn, I think they purposefully chose this title, because if the title was just business networking, not what you think,
yes,
nobody would have bought it. But the second you put sex on the page, if the whole world is wide awake. So if you don't believe me, make sure that you get the book. I think it is currently at exclusive books in those places, and I actually saw this morning you can also get it as an ebook online.
What?
So you're welcome to do that. But regarding giving it away, Björn, how do you want to go about it?
Cool. So Karin, you said earlier that there was a question that you were going to ask. And so I think you asked the question, and the first person to get it right and type the answer in the chat, I think they win.
Okay.
I think that's a game.
Okay. So if you are a guy, I want you to type one thing into the chat bar there on what you as a guy need to do, networking wise, to connect with women. And if you're a woman, you need to mention one thing that you as a woman need to do on your side in actually to connect with the guys. And remember, I gave quite a few of them earlier on. So let's see who listened.
Oh, it's all coming now.
Fantastic. So we're gonna give you like 2 minutes to put your answers in. I just want to say, Butch, thank you for the input. Butch is having a sandwich in the kitchen. He says he can see you're having in the kitchen, so he's going to have a sandwich on behalf of you for you. And also, Janine, thanks for the input on after 7 days. We're not trying to gain anything here. It's just meaningful to create that connection with people. And then Butch also said, give us gains, 2 extremely powerful words we can actually use in networking today. Björn, do you want to just, before we choose our winner, do you want to just tell us what's coming up for the rest of the month?
Yes. So super exciting. While we're busy waiting for our winner, next week we've got a gentleman by the name of Philip Dunn. Philip's based in Mpumalanga, and he's going to be talking about the difference between a lead versus a referral. So I'm really looking forward to seeing what that is, because I often hear people talk about a hot lead and a cold lead and a wet lead and a dry lead, and I'm like, is that a leaf? It's a dry leaf. So we're going to talk about that next week, and that's super exciting. And then at the end of the month, we've got a lady called Gwen, and she's a beautiful Italian lady that runs a network called Extraordinary Women. And so she's going to be sharing about events that are coming up in August, because August is all about women in business. So Karin, you'd really like this. So do tune in, and we've got some great speakers coming up. We've got some radio DJs. We've got Margaret Hirsch. And we've got a few other really nice women in business who have done some great things. So it's going to be an absolutely fantastic killer month coming up, so over the next couple of weeks. So brilliant. Kevin, do you have a winner? Karin, did you find a comment?
Go for it. Go for it, guys.
The chat manager just informed me and said, I only have one name here. So the first person to answer and give us some insight on how guys and girls network differently was Edith. Just says Edith. So well done, Edith. You just won yourself that book, that Business Networking and Sex book. Well done to you. And thank you for engaging.
Now there's a catch for her to actually get the book, eh?
Yes, tell us.
Edith, you need to connect with me. I need a Zoom session with you to find out what you do and who you want to be connected to.
Brilliant.
Hey.
Guys, I don't know if you've noticed the strategy Karin just used there.
Yes, brilliant.
Do you notice the strategy? Like, have a conversation, give something away, and connect with people. People love free stuff, right? So absolutely. Okay, so really exciting that what's happening in the upcoming months. To just wrap up today's session, we spoke about the gains and how to really connect with someone and start a conversation. We also addressed on networking from guys and girls styles. And Karin, if you could just leave us with some insights for today, what would that be?
Yeah, for me, it's always a case, guys, let's try and keep the business in South Africa, and let's focus on supporting business owners versus corporates. Because if I support a business owner, I'm helping a family fulfill their dreams. A family go on holiday, a kiddie can play sport, okay, mommy can maybe come home. Versus supporting a corporate, you help the CEO to build a second holiday home or something. So in networking, let's connect with each other as business owners. Let's stop building our own little kingdoms, and we put our focus on how can I help you? Because in the process, we will be changing the way that South Africa is doing business. And that is what's going to get us through the whole lockdown and everything. Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, Björn.
Thank you. Thank you so much. That was fantastic. Thanks, Björn.
Cool. Thank you very much, Karin. Really appreciate you having on the show. Thank you always much for your wisdom. I was thinking earlier, I think I've known you for like 6 years now. If I just quickly do the math, because in Gauteng, I've already been here 4.5, and I know I connected with you just before that. So thank you for your input. Thank you for your wisdom, and thank you for the beautiful book that you've just given to Edith. And I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to come from that going forward. So yeah, brilliant.
Good stuff. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, guys. We'll see you next week. Thursday happens every week on a Thursday at 12 o'clock. Please connect with us on our social medias. The chat managers just put it into the chat webinar chat. And yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Thanks, guys.
Ciao, guys.
Ciao, ciao.